Okay, so I finally watched Love is Blind, the most recent season. I'm not going back and watching all the other seasons for everybody that's suggesting that I do that. I don't have that type of time. But I did watch the most recent season, and I was really I'm really intrigued by the experiment, that's what they call it, in the process. I do really like the idea of dating somebody blindly. I think that is a really, I think it's just a really cool experiment, and I was, it now has me curious almost. Obviously I'm not in the dating realm, but I would suggest that part. I would, if I was single, if I was a single, I like the idea of dating blind. The part that's absolutely though asinine though is the time frame, the thought of you're going to marry somebody within that 2 week time period. We ready to like walk down the aisle with them, or even like commit to like, oh my God, this is my person for the rest of my life and I'm in love with you type thing. That to me is absolutely crazy. The dating blind part I get. I like that. I think that if I was single, I would be open to that, as a way to connect with someone who would be a potential mate for me to continue to date and get to know and hopefully, marry. But to have that decision made within a 2 week time period, or less than a 2 week time period, because it's like 1 week, 5 days or something like that, that you're actually narrowing down and picking the one. And then by that next week, you guys, see each other face to face and live together and all this stuff, part of the experiment. Then you're walking down the aisle after that second week. That's crazy. And I think how it worked out, where one couple out of all those couples got to that, is a correct probability of how slim something like that is to happen. And the couple that actually made it, and is still married and happy, you could tell it was like that very real for them, and they just clicked. They were meant for each other. So the probability of that happening is one out of all those people in that house. I think that is a realistic statistic. Now I want to get into one of the most popular couples everybody's been talking about, Clay and AD. Okay, first, like I said, I don't think it's reasonable to think that you could walk down the aisle with somebody after that short period of time, number one. Number two, I think it was absolutely crazy that he waited all the way up until he got to that altar to say, no, I'm not doing this. Because, like, dude, come on now, you could have did that way before. And I have watched the reunion, and I did see that he said that he really didn't know until he walked all the way up to the altar, which I don't know if I believe that. I like so many things about this. I hope this video doesn't get too long-winded, but I really liked how, I honestly think that he was being very vulnerable about, like, he's scared, like he's straight up scared, because of some of the things that he saw growing up. But the thing that I really liked was AD's mom's advice that she gave to them, and like, yes, us as your parents, we had our stuff, we had our screw ups, we had maybe not the best display for you guys in the relationships and the marriages that we were in, but that is not your story. That does not have to be your story. And it seemed like it was hard for him to shake those things. Like, he was traumatized, which I'm sure those things are traumatizing. To say your dad was taking you on infidelity trips, that was crazy. So your dad is going to cheat on your mom that he's married to, and he's taking you with him on the trip to go be with his other woman. Like, come on, that is, yeah, what do you do with that as a young man, But I really do believe sincerely that he is doing the work, and he's, talking about his experiences in therapy. And on the reunion, it was really touching. Like, he really was, I believe that he was really, really being sincere, that he really loves her, and that, he screwed up and he still loves her, and really, like, that he wants another opportunity, another chance. And it doesn't seem like she's too open to giving him one. And so the lesson in that also is something I learned a long time ago, is sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, you have to be willing to lie in the bed that you made, you know. And hindsight is 50, what they say, hindsight is 2020. So sometimes after you make that choice, you learn in retrospect, hey, it wasn't the right one. You won't always have the opportunity for a get back. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, you know. So it seemed like he may have just lost out, you know, unfortunately. But he seems very sincere. I want to say that the dude, I can't think of his name right now, but the one that was like really, really buff with the mullet, he's a perfect example why this, in my opinion, that short time period, thinking that you can really find your husband or wife in that short period of time is like unrealistic, because you don't really know who these people are. And he was the perfect example of that. You guys see how on the reunion they done found out that he was faking the whole time, and he had a whole woman and a fiance that he was getting ready to get married to, and they made an agreement for him to go on the show, probably to get the little money, because I'm sure they get a little check for being on the show. And so they found text messages between him and her, like, oh, I love you, we're getting married when I get back home. And he's on this show making up this whole lie, like he's really in love with this other girl. And he's on the reunion trying to explain it away. Sir, you cannot explain that away. You came on here just to play games. And so that's a perfect example of how, like, you don't know these people. This is like a week. It's like 1 week of time. Who else I want to talk about? Oh, the one dude who got with Chelsea. He was, I don't think that he was being 100% honest when he said that he was like okay with how she looked. And I think that she felt that, and that's what was driving a lot of her insecurities. It was kind of embarrassing to watch how insecure, I don't want to say they were paying her, but she, you know, her insecurities coming up. But you know, when he saw her, he was kind of like, oh, you know, you could tell. I'm sure if we could tell as a viewer, she could tell and feel like he really wasn't 100% feeling her looks. But what I liked about him, though, is that he was committed to his choice. And he said that, you know, this is the choice that he made, and he really is trusting this process to just love blindly. And although that probably isn't like his typical look, which is a whole point of the show, that he was really willing to still commit to that. But too much of the other stuff got in the way, and it just didn't work out. But I think it was kind of priceless when they first saw each other. You could tell he was kind of disappointed on them looks. Who else did I want to talk about? The one young lady that was dating the black dude who was a principal. I thought that she was really sincere. I sometimes side eye, you know, I'm just being honest. Sometimes I side eye white women who date black men. Like, sometimes I side eye their motives, but she seemed very sincere, you know, and very conscious, you know. But I think at the end of it, he was kind of like, kind of cool. But she seemed like she was really sincere about how she was feeling about him, you know. And it wasn't like, oh, no fetish stuff, you know. What else? Who else stuck out to me? This whole process was interesting to me. I'll probably continue to watch it going forward. But yeah, like I said, I can't see myself going back and watching all them seasons. But I can see why now you guys like the show so much, and I'll probably watch it going forward. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know. Drop below. Bye.